This is Foundations of Math and Pre-Calculus 10. We're looking at Chapter 1.2, and this is the Imperial Measurements Unit. It is based on British units, and the US uses customary system that has names that are identical to the imperial system but differ in quantity for gallons and fluid ounces. But again, in this chapter, we are only concerned about length. So there are no differences between the British and the US system. Converting units in the imperial system is more complicated because we are not multiplying or dividing by powers of 10. So the bold ones are the ones that we're most interested in: inches, feet, yards, and miles. Okay, and the reason for these weird numbers is that the imperial system is largely based on reference. Okay, so let's do some converting. We want to convert 67 inches into feet and inches. So 67 inches, and all these measurements measure 1 foot. So we can do the same thing that we did with the metric, times 1 foot, and that's equal to 12 inches. 1 foot, 12 inches. That equals 5.583 repeat, and this is not useful. Okay, nobody says this. We don't have decimal feet. We have feet and inches, so this is the more useful conversion. And on the calculator, what we'd like to do is 67 divided by 12, because these cancel out, and we're left with feet. And that's equal to our 5.58. We want to subtract the 5 because those are our even units of feet. And now we multiply by the denominator times 12. This will give us the remainder, and that's 7 inches. So we have 5 feet, 7 inches. Okay, so again, we subtract off the 5, which is our integer portion, multiply by the denominator, and this gives us the remainder. And again, this is not useful. This is the useful measure. Okay, let's convert 30,000 feet into miles. And we have 1 foot and 1 over 5280 miles. Okay, the feet cancel out. And now we just have 30,000 divided by 5280. And we bring up our calculator. Okay, and we get 5.681 repeat miles. Okay, how do you determine the order of operations here? 30,000 times, and this is 1 over, and that means we divide. Is this a useful measurement? Yes, because odometers measure in tenths of a mile. So here it's okay to have decimal values. Here, not so much. 437 feet. Convert this into yards and feet. Times 1 foot and that's 1/3 of a yard. Feet cancel out. So this is just times a fraction. So 437 divided by 3, and we get 145.6 repeat. Again, we don't want to have a decimal of a yard, so we convert this to feet. We take off the integer portion, which is 145, and then multiply by the denominator, which is 3, and we get 2. So this is 145 yards and 2 feet. Okay, we must learn how to scale in imperial units. We need to make a measurement and then convert it to an appropriate unit. And maps require 2 measurements, one to measure the scale part and then the actual measurement part. But first, we'll start with the simple ones. Calculate the size of this orca. Assume that each grid is 0.27 inches and the reduction ratio is 1 to 30. So we count this off. 1 grid unit, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 grid units. We have 0.27 inches times 7, and that equals 1.89 inches. We take our 1.89 inches. Sorry, we have a reduction ratio of 1 to 133. So we take our 189 times 133 over 1. 1.89 times 133. That gives us 251.37 inches. This is not a useful measurement. So what we'll do is we'll convert it to feet. 251.37 inches times 12 inches in 1 foot. And this gives us approximately 21 feet. Okay, let's calculate the length of this sockeye, assuming that each grid is 0.27 inches. The reduction ratio is 2 to 15. How big do we have of a fish do we have? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 and a half. So we have 0.27 inches times 13.5 grid units. 0.27 times 13.5. That gives us 3.645 inches. We take our 3.645 inches, multiply by our inverse of the reduction ratio, 15 over 12, or 2, times 15 divided by 2, and we get 27 inches approximately. So that's a pretty big salmon. Okay, find the straight line distance from the Tsawwassen Ferry Terminal to the Swartz Bay Terminal. And the Tsawwassen Terminal is here. And the Swartz Bay Terminal is here. So first of all, we have to measure this. And depending on how big the printer printed this, it could be a little bit different for you versus what I have. And measuring this, I get 1.55 centimeters. Now we need our Tsawwassen to Swartz Bay measurement, and that works out to 7.8 centimeters on my notes. Your notes may vary. So we now need 7.8 centimeters times 5 miles divided by 1.55 centimeters. Remember, this is our ratio. Now, this happens to cancel out far easier. We cancel out our centimeters. We don't have to do anything to convert to miles because we measured that. Okay, and on our calculator, we have 7.8 times 5 divided by 1.55. And we get the distance is approximately 25 miles. Remember accuracy. We have 3 digits of measurement here. We have 2 digits of measurement here. Really, we should only have 2 digits of accuracy. And our last item, we need to learn about imperial calipers. And again, calipers will have different scales based on how accurate they've been produced. Okay, the main scale. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 divisions. So we have 1/16 of an inch. The Vernier scale has 8 divisions. So it's 1/16 and it's divided by 8. So it has an accuracy of 1/128th of an inch. And then we read this measurement same way as we did for the metric calipers. We read all the whole lines before we get to the 0 on the Vernier scale. And this is 1 1/16 of an inch. Okay, and then we see where the main scale and the Vernier scales line up, and we see it's this point. So we take the 5 and we multiply it by the 128th of an inch. So we have 5 128ths of an inch. And our final measurement is 1 1/16 plus 5 over 128. We need a common denominator. We know that there's 8 divisions, so we need to multiply this by 8. So we have 1 and 8 over 128 plus 5 over 128. And we get 1 and 13 over 1/28 of an inch. And this is approximately 1.102. However, this is more accurate since it's not an approximation, so sometimes we leave this as a fraction. And some calipers work out to exact decimal values. For example, this one. Okay, the main has tenths of an inch here, and then we have 4 divisions within the tenths. So 4 divisions. So we have 0.1, which is our tenth, divided by 4. So we have 0.025 inches. Okay, on our calculator, we can do 0.1 divided by 4, and we get 0.025. Okay, so each one of these measurements is 0.025. Now the Vernier scale has 25 divisions. So we have 0.025. We're taking this measurement and we're dividing by 25. This means we're measuring by 0.001 of an inch. Okay, so that's 1/1000th of an inch. Okay, let's read the main scale. Reads up to 0.3 and 1 division. So we have 0.3 plus, and we have 1 extra division. So this is 0.025, and this adds up to 0.325 of an inch. Now the Vernier scale reads 14. So it's 14 times 0.001 of an inch. So that's 0.014 of an inch. And for the final measure, we add these two values together, 0.325 plus 0.014. And our final measurement is 0.339 inches exactly. Okay, and you'll have to practice to get good at this. And there's two different caliper practices that you can do with Imperial. And that completes this lesson.